This weekend, of course, Father's Day, and, various people will be celebrating that in one way or another. Although for some people, Father's Day is going to be a bit of a stink day, actually, a bit of a tough one to get through. Joining us on the program, Tanya Unkovic. Tanya, always difficult the first Father's Day afterwards, isn't it, with your dad passing recently? How are you going with this?
Well, look, it was his birthday day before yesterday, so I had to get through that one. Yeah. And I figured, well, Dad obviously thought the guest list was going to be a lot nicer up there, so he chose to spend it up there this year.
Yeah.
And I can understand that. So look, that one was okay.
Yeah.
And that's why we're going to talk about what we're going to talk about today, choosing faith, and that's what's getting me through these times.
As we do approach Father's Day, I mean, it is something which we're talking about quite a lot on the program. And one thing that we are, in fact, asking people today, funny stories about their dad. I mean, there's tragedy in your life, but we look back in a positive way. Would you anything come to mind when I say, have you got a funny story about your dad, Tanya?
Well, look, his nickname was Smiley because not only of his name, Smiljan, but because my father was always laughing. He was always laughing, and also often inappropriately laughing. So, we'd all end up laughing at him because he's just humiliated himself, or with his broken English, he misunderstood and that. So, there's so much to laugh about there, and I know that that's what he would want us to be doing right now.
Exactly.
And isn't laughter the way to get through sadness?
Yeah, it is. It is really, and I'm sure we would have got on fabulously. I'm often laughing at inappropriate things or in inappropriate places, but yes, certainly. I suppose as a Rima community, our thoughts and prayers continue to be with you, Tanya, as you put your what you've preached for so many years. You put that into practice, choosing faith over fear. It's a great theory, but sometimes difficult to practice, I imagine.
Yeah, look, it is, and that's why I'm really taking it one day at a time. And even on those days when I wake up and I go, oh, it's feeling heavy today, I ask myself, what can I do in this moment? What do I know works? Or who do I know has gone through something really difficult in life and yet they're thriving now? So I really dig into my toolbox of what can I do in this moment to turn my sadness into joy.
One of the things which is tricky for all of us is this uncertainty. None of us really knows how long this piece of string will be. Yes, all this will pass, but how long do we need to be resilient for? That can be an extra challenge.
It can be, and that's why I then say, well, look, let's take the current circumstances in the world out of the equation, and let's just look at life in general.
Okay.
None of us have certainty in life at all. It can change so quickly. So, that's why I often love what many people who go to AA say is, the person with the longest abstinence is the person who got up earliest that day.
Yeah.
It's about getting up and embracing each day and allowing whatever comes up in each day. And one of the things that watching someone pass away teaches me is how precious life is and how quickly it changes, and let that be the greatest teacher for life.
When we're talking about fear, and fear comes often as the unwelcome companion to uncertainty, but having faith doesn't mean the absence of fear, does it?
Oh, look, having faith absolutely doesn't mean our life is going to be leisure, is it? It means actually having something to hang on to in those moments when we feel uncertain, when we feel alone, or when we let go of God's hand. I feel it's about changing the story that you have about fear, or even what is it that you call fear? Reframe it, redefine it. Have fear as your friend, I say, instead of something that you fear. Don't fear fear, but go, oh, hello, fear. Welcome it and go, what are you here to teach me right now? And I always say that fear is the greatest tool, the greatest friend that you've got to master acceptance and to master surrender in life.
It's a signal that something is hurt and broken. It's a signal of something which perhaps we're a burden that we're carrying or something that we're anxious about.
Yeah, yeah. And, we've got the ability to make the decision to say, I don't want to carry this burden. How can I change my thinking? How can I change my belief? How can I surrender even more and say, God, help me through this, because I know that you can. I always say there's so much in this journey about learning how to trust ourselves, that we've got what it takes in order to make a decision, in order to change what we focus on.
In terms of, I suppose, finding the strength that we need to not feel overwhelmed, and I appreciate, Tanya, I mean, you are being so courageous in this moment in sharing these strategies, but there are, I know there'll be people listening who perhaps aren't coping as well at the moment, but there's others that we can look to for inspiration. There's lots of good role models out there of people who have faced much, worse circumstances than we have, and yet have held on to faith in amongst that process.
Yeah, yeah. And, I always like to go back and listen to and learn from people who have already overcome these great things. And I've got some role models like Viktor Frankl, who, no matter what, he was in a concentration camp, right?
Wow.
Yet he still made the decision to filter and change what he allowed to go through his mind. And those stories, and like of Winston Churchill, for example, I think I mentioned that I'm really into history at the moment.
Yeah.
And I learned that Winston Churchill, 10 years before he died, predicted the day that he was going to die. And it was exactly the same day as his father. And sure enough, he had a stroke 2 weeks before the 24th of January, but he ended up dying on the same day as his father did, actually within the hour.
Wow.
And our Paralympic people now, they have all been through so much adversity, many of them, yet look at what all of these people are able to do and achieve. And I get great strength from that, seeing other people who have gone before me and taught us. Even Jesus did.
Yeah. I mean, the Paralympics is an interesting one, isn't it? Because these are people, I mean, they're tremendous athletes, no matter what sort of scale. They'll be tremendous athletes regardless of whether or not they have these extra challenges in life. However, those challenges put them in a position where they're able to compete on an international stage. And I must say, Sophie Pascoe, what a hero she is. But honestly, not winning her 20th Olympic medal, you could see the disappointment on her face. But what an inspiration she is, right?
She's extraordinary. And I read something about her this week about how she really had to tap into that inner mental mindset in order to do what she's doing at the moment. I mean, isn't that an extraordinary example for us all, happening right in front of us right now?
Exactly. And Sophie, 19 Olympic medals is still a remarkable achievement, and absolutely fantastically well done to all of the athletes competing there. It is those people who, I suppose, face really, really challenging circumstances or obstacles or challenges in their life and say, you know what, I'm going to use that to inspire me rather than for that to be a hindrance or a handicap. That's not holding me back. That's inspiring me to go forward. Fantastic role models to have, right?
Absolutely. But also look at yourself, excuse me, as a role model. Look at yourself on something that you have done in your life that you are proud of, that you know you've already overcome. Even if it's something as simple as helping another human being, go back and reflect on that part of you that you know is already in there, and just pull that out of you right now and go, actually, I've done it before, I can do it again.
That is so important, isn't it? Because we can, in some ways, be intimidated by these great figures from history, all these fantastic sporting role models, and go, hey, it's fantastic for her. I could never do that. And hey, I'm not going to be an Olympic swimmer. I can tell you that for now. I couldn't swim to save myself, literally. But actually, there's things that I can do, and it's particularly when we bring that faith aspect in, where actually we may not be able to cope with this on our own strength, but as people of faith, we don't have to.
That's exactly right. There is this beautiful, beautiful faith there, and all we need to do is make the decision to hang on to it, to reach out to it, and to surrender every single day and say, okay, God, today I can't. I know that you can, so help me.
I just want to say what a fantastic role model you are, Tanya, with the the very difficult circumstances that you are going through. And like your dad, you're doing so with a smile on your face. You are bringing joy and hope to people, even though you have every reason and excuse to say, hey, actually, I'm just not feeling it today. Thank you so much for your ministry and the way in which you live your life transparently, which is an inspiration to others. We really do appreciate what you bring to this program and the inspiration you bring to the Rima listeners.
I thank you so much. I really feel like I'm doing God's work, and that's why I get up every day and do it. It really is an honor.
Yeah, well, we'll keep on doing that. If people wanted to find out more, because, I mean, this is just the tip of the iceberg, lots of inspirational stories and resources and pick-me-ups available online. How do people connect with that, Tanya?
Well, you can just Google me, but go to my YouTube channel where you will find all of our past interviews there. They're all there for you. My website also has got some resources, tanyarankovich.com.